Okay, I'm going to call to order this special meeting of council. Just before we get started, just so people are not confused, this is actually a separate meeting to the one that will occur or start at 6 p.m. for the public hearing. So at this point, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the traditional unceded territory of the Nanawas First Nation. First item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda. I'll move that the April 26, 2026 April 22nd, I think I said 26. Yeah, April 22nd, 2026 special council meeting be adopted as presented. Is there a second? Second by Councillor Jones. Any additions, deletions? Okay, hearing or seeing nothing, I will move to calling the question. All those in favor and opposed, that's carried unanimously. Moving under to general matters, we have Mayor and Council verbal updates. We can start with Councillor Jones if you wish.
Sure, thank you. Today, you probably all know, is Earth Day, so I took a little time to ask a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old what that meant to them, and the 5-year-old said, well, if you're walking along and you see a plastic bottle on the ground, that doesn't mean that you should throw something on the ground also, because if you do, then there just is a big pile of garbage. And then the 8-year-old said, well, I learned that we do have a lot of garbage that we throw away, and it all goes to a place called a dump, and the dump is overfilled, and a lot of things in the dump won't even decompose in 1,000 years. And then I asked him, well, so where do we go for here? And we ended up with a discussion on the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle. So happy Earth Day.
Okay, Councillor Mandel, if you wish.
Nothing for me.
Councillor Lerner.
Just pleased to be representing Lantzville in the Vancouver Island Regional Library at BCLA at the moment. So thank you for that opportunity that is provided through the Vancouver Island Regional Library. I'm pleased to sit there as Lantzville's representative and chair of the board, and I will be providing an update when I return. Thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Nothing for me, thank you.
And for myself, nothing for this evening. We'll just get moving through this agenda. So we have under 6, public input. Person is recognized by the chair to speak must first state their name and address for the record and may speak for up to 2 minutes unless council resolves otherwise. They're limited providing comment listed on this evening's agenda. Comments must be directed to the chair and must not be directed to individual council members, staff, or the audience, and must not include personnel issues. Again, no booing or clapping. We want to make sure everybody feels welcome when speaking to the agenda. So just go to the microphone, name and address for the record, please.
Dave Scott, 6898 Harwood Drive. Just speaking to the budget, I was looking at some of the numbers in it, and I haven't gone through with a fine-tooth comb, but one of the things I was looking at was what used to be the roads reserve, and I believe now it's the transportation infrastructure reserve. And in 2023, the road reserve, we were putting away $680,000 a year towards our road upgrades. In 2024, it was $451,000. In 2025, it was $188,000. In 2026, it's proposed to be $290,000. And in 2007, it's $301,000. And I guess looking at it is, why is our reserve for roads decreasing so much, unless I'm misinterpreting something? And we should be increasing by at least an inflation rate, if not more, because our roads are in such poor repair. Anyways, that's my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any additional speakers? And name and address for the record.
Yes.
Oh, you gotta press the button, please, and then you know the routine. There you are.
Is it on with red? Yes. Lance Kesselbrock, 7365 Spence's Way. I wanted to talk about the budget. I wanted to remind council that first year, 0, second year, 0, third year, 3%, and this year, 1%. I know it's being voted on for 5%, but when you take out the check that you had to write to a large property owner who had his property reassessed, and then there was another large property reassessed, BC Hydros. When you take out those monies from the 26 budget, you're really talking about a 1 or 0% budget. And again, this year, the first year budget, the Director of Financial Services told you that you were more than 400,000 underfunding the reserve account. The third Director of Financial Services told you in 2024, again, you are underfunding over 400,000 in the reserve account. And I suspect this year we are once again under 400,000. So a 0.031, maybe 0% four-year tax increases is leaving a massive problem for the council that's going to follow you.
Okay. Additional speakers? And we have nobody remotely registered this evening? For public input on budget? Yeah, okay.
Hello, Misha. I see that you're online in the finance meeting at 5:30, the special finance meeting. Would you like to make any comments in the public input period? Misha, if you're not responding, we're going to move on in the agenda. Just one more time, would you like to speak to anything on the agenda for the special finance meeting at 5:30 p.m.?
Okay, hearing nothing, we'll move on, and that's technology. Okay, so moving under 7 legislative matters, we have the 2026 to 2030 financial plan bylaws. So we, through to staff, our Director Spola, anything further to introduce this evening before we get on with it?
In one of the motions, in motion number 3 that's recommended, it says insert additional grant or funding source here. I did give council a handout. It should be on your desk beside your binder. Councillor Mundell? Did you find? Yeah, just to make sure that you guys see that. Thank you. That's all that I had to add.
Okay, thank you for that. So I'll just get the first motion on the floor that the District of Lantzville 2026 to 2030 financial plan bylaw number 429, 2026, third reading as amended on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 be rescinded. Is there a seconder to that? Second by Councillor Mundell. Any debate? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll move to call in question. All those in favor and opposed? That's carried unanimously. Someone prepared to make the next motion? Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
That council directs staff to amend the financial plan by moving NT 13 Wellfield from 2026 to 2027.
Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Mundell, and then for discussion, if you wish, Councillor Jones.
No, nothing to say on this, thank you.
Councillor Mundell is the seconder. And through the rest of the council. Okay, for myself, I won't be supporting this for the reasons given at the last meeting, as I believe this is purely an operational item. So, and I stick with the recommendations that were originally given by staff. Nothing further from council? Okay, hearing nothing, I will move to call in question. All those in favor and opposed? Only Mayor Swain's opposed. It carries. Takes us on to the next motion. Someone prepared to make that motion? Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
The council approves a semi-rural trail proposed for Alds Road in the April 8th, 2026 agenda for up to $240,500 to the 2026 budget to be funded from the Climate Action Grant and also the Community Works Grant. And further that, staff explore ways to reduce the estimated costs and also that the final design and cost requires approval by council.
Okay, is there a seconder to that? Second by Councillor Mundell, and then for discussion, go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, this is just tidying up business. We needed the second funding source, and this just sorts that out. The first funding source already had part of it allocated, so this tidies up the problem, balances the budget properly.
Okay, and through to the seconder, and through the rest of the council. Okay, not seeing anything up in the screen. Yeah, for myself, I can support the motion, but again, this is just going to be a carry forward to 2027, as staff has indicated that this will not fit into the work plan for 2026. So I think the community just needs to have realistic expectations around when work in district's going to be carried out. So have no problem with the project. I think the project is an excellent one. It's been on the books for quite some time, so to speak, and various plans and so forth. But again, we'll move forward. So unless there's anything further, I will move to calling the question. Okay, all those in favor and opposed? That's carried unanimously. Now that takes us on to the next motion. Is someone prepared to make that motion this evening? Councillor Lerner, go ahead.
The District of Lantzville 2026 to 2030 Financial Plan Bylaw Number 429/2026 receive third reading as amended.
And is there a seconder to that? Second by Councillor Mundell. And then for a discussion, is there anything from the mover? Councillor Lerner?
I will support the motion. Staff recommended a 6.5% increase, including one new hire. Once we asked staff to remove that one new hire, it went to 5%. So we're approving everything recommended by staff in the exact amount recommended by staff. So I will approve a 5% increase and will vote in favor of the motion.
Okay, and through to the seconder, Councillor Mundell, and then through the rest of the council. Okay, not hearing or seeing anything. Again, I'll briefly speak to this. For reasons given at the last meeting, again, I won't be supporting third reading. I personally believe that we're grossly underfunding our reserves, and that's, just hold on 2 seconds, staff is signaling. But again, I just can't get behind a budget which is going to leave the next council high and dry and moving forward. So with making sure that our reserves are properly funded, in my opinion. So, CEO Lasher?
Just for clarification, staff recommended 6.5%, not 5%. The motion was to bring back a 4 to 5% budget, so we enacted upon the motion that was given to us, but staff highly recommended 6.5 on numerous occasions.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from council? Yeah, Councillor Lerner?
Yeah, I just to say I don't want to debate staff. I don't think staff should be entering the debate, but I want to make it very clear that staff made it, we can go back and watch the recording. Staff recommended 6.5%. A motion was passed to go between 4 and 5% with that one new hire removed. And staff indicated that they would reach 5% by removing that one hire, and otherwise everything would basically be the same. So I don't want to get in a debate with staff, but I am pleased by this, and I support 5% as I believe it is what the community can afford while maintaining all of our plans.
All right, so I'll leave it there unless there's anything new to add. Councillor Savage, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to point out we're funding over $6 million in our capital items, and that's from money we have on hand. So it's we are doing healthy funding of infrastructure in terms of our road reserve. I've talked in detail with our finance director, and there's the opportunity, once we have our accumulated surplus figure, that there's a good chance we'll be increasing that road reserve up to what previous levels were. And I'd also point out that in 2024, we are reviewing that, and that's in contention now because the budget document that we voted on in February 2024 showed a balance of 680,000, which would be funding the road reserve that year. And we only recently found out 2 years later that apparently that was not done. So all we can do, and I remember carefully funding it, we put extra money into it so it would reach that point. And then 2 weeks later, February 21st, we put extra funding in to ensure that all the other reserves were up to the previous year. So we have to investigate that, find out what happened. And as I say, this year, there's a good chance we'll be increasing our road reserve fund. And I would also point out in the previous council term, there was a 68% accumulated tax increase, compounded tax increase, and residents deserved a break after all that tax increase. And I would ask, where did all that money go? Well, the answer is a lot of it went to new staff hires. So we had a staff increase of many new positions. So most of it did not go for infrastructure and so on. So if we're going to get into a debate about tax levels and proper funding of things, there's more to the story, and I could talk for the next 3 hours on it all. I carefully look at every budget, so I think we're doing a good job balancing what people can afford and looking after things. And over $6 million in capital items this year in 2026 is hardly going cheap on funding them. So that is important. And I would also point out a lot of our tax increases come from the regional district, from hospital tax, from school tax, and the library's done a good job of keeping theirs down to reasonable levels. So there's far more to the story than just saying, oh, let's tax residents more and more and more. My taxes are over $10,000 a year. So what more do you want from people like me? So it's important that we do our part to keep taxes reasonable, especially for seniors. They are on fixed incomes, often pensions. They bought their houses long ago, and now they're just getting more and more every year, either losing equity in their homes and getting their taxes increased. And if they're on a deferred tax program, that's being affected by a new policy by the NDP this year, giving them even less equity. So there's far more to the story than just cliches that, oh, well, we got to raise taxes, oh, we're doing a poor job with infrastructure and so on. It's not true as far as I'm concerned. And every year I speak at length at the budget, and every year I have found savings for the benefit of residents, everything from reducing our legal expenses to innumerable other things. And so have Councillor Lerner and Councillor Jones have contributed immensely in finding savings. So I'm very proud of the budgets that we've presented. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to access something on my computer and I can't find it for this council debate we're now having. We are pressing on in our time here it's now 5:49. But I think the $6 million that Councillor Savage you're referring to is not, that's not new taxation, that's spending out of our reserves. And the tail of the tape is that our reserves are being drawn down on. And yeah, maybe we need to save this for another time to have a real robust discussion about, but this, because, you know, we're running out of time on this. But again, I can't support the budget as is. In my opinion, it is grossly underfunding our reserves, and we're drawing down on them quite significantly. And it's great we can spend, but we're on a spending plan right now. We're not on a savings plan right now, and we should be. We can be doing both, and unfortunately, our taxation doesn't cut the mustard, in my opinion. All right, so unless there's anything further, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And opposed, noting Mayor Swain's opposed, it carries. Next is on our agenda is 10B, so this District of Lantzville 2026 alternative municipal tax collection scheme bylaw 430-2026. Someone prepared to do first reading? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Lerner.
So moved that the District of Lantzville 2026 Alternative Municipal Tax Collection Scheme Bylaw number 430-2026 be given first reading.
Is there a seconder to that? Second by Councillor Mundell. I'll move to call in the question. All those in favor and opposed, that's carried unanimously. I'm moving to the next one. Someone prepared to do second reading? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Jones.
The District of Lantzville 2026 Alternative Municipal Tax Collection Scheme Bylaw number 430-2026 be given second reading.
Is there a seconder? second by Counselor Mundell, and then any debate? Okay, hearing or seeing nothing, I'll move to call in question. All those in favor and opposed? That's carried unanimously. And then moving on to third reading, someone prepared to make that motion? Go ahead, Counselor Lerner.
The District of Lantzville 2026 Alternate Municipal Tax Collection Scheme Bylaw Number 430-2026 be given third reading.
Okay, and is there a seconder? Second by Counselor Jones. Any debate?
Nope.
Okay, hearing nothing, I'll call the question. All those in favor and opposed, that's carried unanimously. Moves us on to item 7C. So this is the parcel tax review panel. And we need 2 counselors inserted into this. If someone's prepared to make the motion, go ahead, Counselor Jones.
That council appoint Mayor Swain and Councillor Ian Savage, just 2 total, right?
Yeah, 2.
As members of the parcel
Oh,
tax.
sorry, you need another name. Sorry, you need
And
one more.
Councillor Lerner as members of the Parcel Tax Roll Review Panel, and that the panel fulfill its duties in accordance with the community charter. And further, that council set 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 6, 2026, in Council Chambers, Municipal Hall, 7192 Lantzville Road, Lantzville, BC, as the time and place for the siting of the panel, which shall be open to the public for viewing.
Is there a seconder? Seconder by Counselor Mundell. Any discussion? Nothing, or, yeah, go ahead.
Just wanting to see if the 2 folks nominated want to stand before they get volunteered or voluntold for the role.
Yes, I'm fine with it. And do we get a wage increase after the last?
I'm fine with it, no problem.
Okay. All right, then I'll move then calling question. All those in favor and opposed, that's carried unanimously. Any late items to introduce? Any notices of motion? And then public clarification, so persons recognized by the chair to speak must first state their name and address for the record and the agenda item for which they are seeking clarification, and may speak for up to 2 minutes, ask clarification questions. For example, how did the vote go? Ask about technicalities, request interpretation of abbreviations and or jargon used during the meeting. Nobody usually goes to the microphone for this section, so at this point, the meeting has, we've gotten through our agenda, so I declare the meeting adjourned. So thank you for everybody attending the first meeting, and then we now have about 6 minutes, and then we'll move forward with the public hearing.